Alright, so I know I haven't really done much for videos, really, besides the first one. Once I got it swapped, but starting to get a little bit more set up, just recently moved and stuff like that. Swap's got about, it's getting close to 5,000 miles on it. Just wanted to kind of give you guys a little bit of an update of how she runs. Just doing a little drive home here after work is all. Nothing fancy. But wanted to give you guys a little bit of a windows down deal here before the winter starts and it's raining all the time. After putting on 1,600 miles this week in 4 days for work. But every time I get in this thing after driving for work, it's like I didn't drive at all. It's pure enjoyment pretty much all the time. Another thing that I've noticed that I do really like about this car is that when I am driving to or from work here on the highway, if I have the marker lights and stuff on, people obviously think you're a police officer. And if you're driving in the left lane, especially if you're doing like a little bit over the speed limit, everybody just moves out of your way. Now, that doesn't work when you're in town or you're on a 2-lane road, like just one lane going each way, because everybody thinks you're a cop, so everybody drives super slow then because they can't get out of your way. Where they must think that you have something more important to do when you're on a highway or something, because they just move over. So normally after I get through town here, I normally jump over the left lane and cruise to the next town where I actually live. It's Friday. The end of September is just about October. First event that I'm going to try to make it to at Park, get my dual caliper hydro setup done, and my rear springs and my Heim joint, upper and lower control arms and Watts links. Then I'll be set up for November event, which is on the 4th of November, which is 2 days before my birthday. Got my fingers crossed for a rainy event, which shouldn't be too difficult considering this is Oregon. My friends who went last year, Jake and Chris, when they went, I believe they both drive, or one of them drove, I can't remember exactly, I wasn't there at that event. But they said that they got at least a half a day of rain, and then it kind of started drying up towards the end of the day, which wouldn't be too bad. I'd get to do my shakedown, and then it'd start drying up, and I could start changing my line and my technique a little bit to start dealing with some dry pavement. But as mentioned, I would like to have a wet event, 1 or 2 if I can, to do my shakedown and really figure out what needs to be corrected before this next season, so I can get ready for February event. We'll see if Park floods this year like it does pretty much every year. Check that when I get home. little bit of a bounce to it, but it actually works pretty good. It's just from Car Toys. It's nothing special. It's got a magnet, and then there's a little metal plate that I put in the back of my phone. And it actually works quite well. That's how I did my first video. And then I'm doing this one the same way. And I'll just have to try to figure out which one of my friends is gonna want to strap GoPros all over this thing when I'm at park. I think my buddy Tim is probably gonna want to do something because he was part of my first video that I did when I first moved out here from Minnesota, when I had my old Datsun Maxima, my 810, which was a rear-wheel drive Nissan Maxima. It was an 84, so it was a crossover year between Nissan and Datsun. And that was a four-door car with four-wheel independent suspension, disc brakes all the way around, and an L24 inline 6, same thing that's in a 240Z. That started out as a fuel-injected car, and I actually bought I bought a whole engine from a 72 240Z and swapped over the round top side draft SU carbs. So I ran dual side drafts on it for a while, and that thing was fun. Stripped the interior of it. I was gonna drift that one, but I ended up having to sell it and stuff because life happens. You know, as car guys, we normally put our cars up for sale when we have rent or grocery issues. I do miss that one. But I'm getting the chance to work on my old 77 280Z that I gave to my buddy Josh for his wedding, because he has been wanting an S30 chassis forever, and he's got a bagged Infiniti G35 coupe, and I told him that he needed something that he could drift with me, so he bought the 280Z from me, and we're in the process of trying to get that going. We just recently put a Holley 4-barrel carburetor and a Bob Spicer Racing 4-barrel manifold on it. We haven't quite got it running yet. We've got a few more things we've got to get taken care of. We've got to fix the driver's door because it doesn't open anymore, so we got a new striker and stuff. And we're going to fix that here, hopefully not this weekend because it's my other friend's birthday party, but hopefully next weekend that can get done, and so that we can actually get into finishing up and cleaning up the wiring and stuff like that in that car, because it's kind of a mess from the previous owners that I got it from. It was a guy and his dad, and the kid didn't really know a whole lot, but kind of just did a whole bunch of shit, and the wiring is like just a rat's nest everywhere. And I've got to pull all of the old fuel injecting harness and all that stuff out, which that won't be too hard. I did the same thing on that Maxima that I converted, and that Maxima I left all of the computer controlled ignition and everything, the ECU and all that stuff all hooked up in it, and just disconnected fuel injectors and removed that wiring, and actually ran the car on electronic timing and all that stuff on the distributor, and it ran great with the dual carbs. I had a guy down in, where was he by? He was by like Salem, Oregon, and had him balance and tune the carbs for me, because the fuel injection heads, the N47 heads and stuff like that, flow a bit different than the carbureted heads, and then obviously the difference in cam. But it turned out pretty well, and the car was a lot of fun, especially after I welded the diff. But even before that, with an open diff, if it was raining outside, the thing was just a blast. If you guys want to check out that video, there's a video of kind of a little introduction of me moving to Oregon. That was done 5 years ago. when I first moved out here, and it was my first time ever on video or anything like that, so I stumbled and said words wrong and all that kind of stuff. So if you guys want to see that cute little video of mine, it's called Northwest Drift, and it's got the opening like picture on the video is me behind the wheel of the Maxima, and it's got a huge Sunoco tack on it, which on the dash, it's freaking huge, because like I never could get the factory tack to work, and trying to find a working dash cluster for that car was impossible. But that car was fun. So if you guys want to go ahead and go into the search and look up Northwest Drift, you should be able to find it there. It's a cool little video kind of explaining kind of why I came out here and why I like drifting. But we'll be doing more videos, hopefully with Tim, who did that video with me. He was in school for videography at that time, and we did that video as kind of a project for him and an experience for me. Want to do another interview video probably after my first event at park, so that I can incorporate some park footage into it. But we'll see how that goes. If I get the hankering to have to do it before that, I'll just have to get some other random footage, hopefully outside of this car also. Oh man, looks like my roommate is working overtime at O'Reilly's. He's been there all day. We're gonna cut ahead of this guy here. It's funny the looks that I get in this car, because number one, it's a cop car. Number two, it's a loud cop car, not super quiet like most cop cars are. The other reasons are that it's obviously not an automatic, because it's loud, you can hear it. And then the wheels that are on it, which you guys have seen on the Instagram, which make sure you follow me on Instagram, Skid Patrol. And then there's always stuff following on there, different builds going on with different friends, helping them with their stuff. And then park events, obviously. Hanging out with Team Tanoshimu and James Wickland and Ian. Those guys are super cool, awesome guys. Definitely one of the most down-to-earth group of guys that drift that I've ever met in my life. They're super cool. James has been at it forever. He's had a lot of different cars, several of them being famous park cars for sure. And then Ian has actually only been driving, I want to say, for like a year or two at the most. And he just now finally went SR on his 240 hatch. Otherwise, he was single slammer KA for a long time. But he has improved tremendously in a very short amount of time. Every event, you can see the progression in his technique and his car position and all that, which is pretty cool. But alright guys, I'm going to cut this short so that you don't know where I live. We'll catch you later. Make sure you hit the subscribe button on the bottom and click the bell so you can get some notifications when I put up new videos. Appreciate the support, guys.